My parents sold their house and gave my brother a home worth $950,000. Then they came for my house. I said, no. My dad slapped me across the face. A month later, I heard, your parents are in serious trouble. I calmly replied, okay, I know. Hey, Reddit. My parents taught me that home was where you gave the most of yourself, not where you received or kept score, just where you showed up.
For years, I did just that.
I fixed the leaky sink in the middle of the night. I sat through uncomfortable conversations about money that they avoided. I listened to my mother share stories of how she and my dad scraped together the down payment for the little house I grew up in, how they sacrificed and worked multiple jobs so their kids could have a chance at stability. When my husband left and the divorce papers sat on my kitchen table like a storm cloud, they were the ones at my door with casseroles, advice, and awkward hugs. When my father's knees started to hurt and his patience wore thin, I rearranged my schedule, rescheduled clients, and drove across town to bring him groceries and a smile. My brother Noah had charm and a LinkedIn profile that looked impressive. He knew how to say the right thing during introductions, but would quickly look for the nearest exit when real work was needed. So, when my parents called me one bright Tuesday afternoon, their voices unusually excited as if they were about to announce a lottery win, I smiled and quickly picked up. We sold the house. My mother chirped, like it was the most natural thing in the world. We bought a place for Noah. We're helping him with the down payment. My chest tightened, feeling like a small animal gasping for air. That's great, I said, the enthusiasm draining from my voice. They didn't pause. They shared the price, the neighborhood, how the realtor had said it was a once-in-a-decade find. They claimed Noah deserved it. He was starting a new job and had been through tough times. They wanted to do something special for him. I listened, pretending my voice didn't waver when I asked, what about the house for Dad and me? I stopped, realizing how ridiculous it sounded halfway through. Dad and me. The words felt wrong on my tongue, but I was the one who painted the porch, shoveled the snow, and kept the plants alive. They sold it to buy the new place, my father said happily. We thought this is what family does. He smiled so proudly through the phone that, for a moment, I almost swallowed my hurt. Almost. Then I remembered the mortgage notices I helped sort, the calls to contractors, the late nights I spent rummaging through their attic for old insurance papers. I recalled every small effort that vanished when someone else took credit for it. Weeks later, they showed up at my door. My house was modest. I kept my father's old coffee mug on the counter because he liked it in the mornings. I folded the spare blanket just so. I liked order. They had always appreciated that I kept things tidy. Hi, sweetheart, my mom said, stepping into my living room as if it were a showroom. We think it's time for you to move into our place.
We want to simplify.
Maybe you can use the money from selling the house. I interrupted her mid-sentence, a calmness in my voice that surprised me. No, she blinked. What do you mean, no? We're not taking your home, I said. I purchased this place with my savings. I've worked for this roof. I won't give it up. My father, who had never seemed so calm during family disputes, rose slowly. His face reddened, not with anger at first, but with confusion that made his jaw tighten. You don't understand, he said. We sold a house to give Noah a real start. We thought this would make things easier for you. Why won't you accept what we're offering? Because accepting it would mean erasing everything I've done to support us, I answered. It would mean you could play the hero, while someone else carries the burden. I won't allow that. Silence fell, a heavy, absurd pause, as if my words needed time to find a response. Then my father stepped closer, his voice trembling with what felt like desperation. You're being selfish. My mouth tasted like metal. No, I'm being fair. He inhaled sharply. You think you're the only one who sacrificed? We did too. We gave up our lives for you kids. I wanted to remind him of the nights I packed lunches, of the overtime I worked to pay for repairs without asking. I wanted to tell him I had held his hand while he cried about past mistakes, filled with such shame that I kept the light on for nights. But words felt too small against the tide of this moment. His palm struck my face like a thunderclap. Everything after that moved in slow motion. The damp sting of my skin, the faint scent of lemon cleaner in my hair, my mother gasping like a kettle lifting off the heat. "You will do as we say," he spat. I touched my cheek with numb fingers. There was a battalion of old wounds lining up behind that slap. Years of being second, of being the quiet one while others' mistakes were allowed to shine. I could have screamed. I could have run. I could have called the police and watched them take the weight out of the room in crisp uniforms. Instead, I sat on the couch as if I'd been carved from stone. My heart raced, but my voice was small and steady. "Don't ever touch me again," I said. They left that afternoon, my father fuming, my mother crying into her scarf, and no one around to comfort them. The following weeks blurred into unsettled mail and quiet evenings where the television hummed, but I didn't watch it. My father sent messages filled with regret and anger. My mother called, then hung up. My brother texted a gift that read, "Love you, sis," followed by polite excuses when I invited him for dinner. Then, a month later, a text arrived from an unknown number. "Your parents are in big trouble." Short, direct. My fingers hovered. I scrolled up to check if the number belonged to someone I knew, a neighbor, an old friend, a contractor. Nothing. My chest tightened. That night, I went to bed, dreaming of keys and empty rooms, a house with a sold sign, and the echo of a hand against my cheek. In the morning, my phone rang. It was my father, his voice smaller than I'd ever heard. "Can we talk?" he asked. I let it ring out. Inside me, a strange, rigid calm told me this had been coming. I had sensed on some odd intuitive level that when you set a table for show and label someone as the golden child, reality eventually arrives with the bill. I walked to the window and watched the neighbor's dog sniff the fence. Outside, the world maintained its ordinary rhythm. Inside, everything had changed. I picked up the phone and let the call go to voicemail. I would hear the story when it arrived. I would decide what to do when I heard it. For now, I sat with my hand on my cheek where the slap had landed and breathed until the sting dulled. Because whatever trouble had found my parents, I was no longer the one who would rush to fix it. I had become someone who waited, someone who measured, and I was ready to see what truth looked like when it finally showed itself. But a month later, everything changed. And the truth hit harder than any slap. 1 month after our confrontation, after the slap, after the betrayal, after they tried to take my home, the universe finally balanced itself. It didn't happen with lightning or karma's gentle tap. It happened with a violent crash. It started with frantic knocks on my door, 3 sharp hits, then another 3, followed by desperate pounding. I paused mid-folding laundry, my fingers freezing in the air. No one knocked like that unless something was wrong. When I opened the door, Noah stood there, my golden child brother, the miracle son, the boy they sold their house for. He didn't look golden anymore. His eyes were sunken, his clothes wrinkled, his hands trembling as he tried to hold a crumpled envelope. "Please," he blurted, pushing past me without invitation. "Just listen." I closed the door behind him, arms crossed. "What do you want, Noah?" He turned around, breathing rapidly. I messed up. I didn't respond. He took that as a cue to continue. "The house they bought me, they're taking it. The bank froze everything. I owe money I can't pay. They're threatening legal action against Mom and Dad." "I know," I replied coldly. He swallowed hard. "You do?"
Yes.
Mom told me. He collapsed onto my couch, burying his face in his hands. "I didn't mean for it to get this bad," he whispered. "I thought I could fix it before anyone noticed." A small, humorless laugh escaped me. "Fix it with what? More lies? More loans? More pretending?" He looked up, eyes glossy. "I didn't pretend." "Yes, you did," I snapped. "You pretended to be responsible. You pretended you were ready for a house. You pretended our parents weren't bending over backward for you. And worst of all, you let them believe you were worth their sacrifice." Noah's face twisted with helpless anger. "They always expected perfection from me," he said. "You don't understand." "Yet," I said quietly, "you failed anyway." Silence choked the room. Then Noah whispered, They're going to lose everything if I don't pay. And what does that have to do with me? His voice cracked. I need money. I blinked. You want my money? He nodded. You have savings, a job, stability. Please help me. If I don't fix this, they'll hate me forever. My heart turned to stone. Them hating you doesn't scare you, I said. But losing what they gave you does. He stared at me, stunned. I walked to the kitchen counter, leaning against it. No, I said flatly. I'm not saving you. I'm not paying your debt. I'm not sacrificing my life to fix your mess. His lip quivered. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Before he could argue further, a car pulled into my driveway. My parents stepped out, looking defeated, exhausted, older than I'd ever seen. They entered quietly. Mom's eyes immediately found Noah. Noah, she whispered, her voice cracking. He stood up, tears in his eyes. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. My father closed the door behind him and leaned against it. Everything poured out. Every detail no one had ever told them. Every credit card, every loan, every unpaid bill, every notice he hid under his mattress, every lie he told to maintain the fantasy. He told us he was doing fine, Mom. He said the job paid well, Dad added. He said he just needed time, Mom said. And we believed him, Dad said, his voice breaking. My father, the man who slapped me, who idolized Noah, who treated him like a savior, now looked at him like a stranger. Noah fell to his knees. I didn't know how to say I failed, he sobbed. Mom sank beside him, holding his shoulders. Dad didn't move. He just stared at the floor. Then suddenly, my father exploded. Do you know what we did for you? He roared. We sold our home. We emptied our savings. We ruined our future for you. Noah cried harder. I know. You don't know, my father shouted. You don't know because you never cared what it cost us. Mom tried to calm him, but Dad pushed her hand away. His voice lowered, cracked, raw. And I slapped your sister because of you. I hurt her because I believed in you. The room fell silent. Noah looked at me, shame flooding his face. Dad turned toward me slowly, and for the first time since I was a child, he looked genuinely broken. I'm sorry, he whispered, for what I did to you, for choosing wrong, for hurting you, for not seeing you. Tears gathered in his eyes. You are the responsible one, the loyal one, the one who kept this family standing. Instead of honoring you, I betrayed you. Mom nodded through tears. We failed you, she whispered. We failed you so much. Those words didn't erase the past. They didn't erase the slap, but they cracked something open inside me, something long frozen. I stepped closer, my voice steady. I'm not here to fix what Noah broke, I said. I'm not here to save him. But I won't abandon you either. Mom sobbed. Dad nodded slowly. Noah looked up, hope flickering. Does that mean you'll help? I stared down at him. No, I said sharply. I'll help them, not you. Your consequences are yours. His face fell in defeat. Dad looked at me, exhausted. What do we do now? I exhaled deeply. You rebuild slowly, honestly, without lies, without favoritism, and without sacrificing your future for a child who refuses to grow up. Mom grasped Dad's hand. Noah lowered his head. The world felt quiet again, but not empty. Something changed that night. Something shifted permanently. My parents finally saw the truth. They saw me. They saw him. They saw themselves. They rented a small place. They apologized every day for weeks. They learned boundaries, fairness, and humility. And Noah? He left, moved to another city, took a basic job, and started over without handouts. For the first time in his life, he had to fight for something. And I finally breathed without guilt. Sometimes the biggest twist isn't when the golden child falls, it's when the forgotten one finally rises.